Alrighty here. So I'm making this video through a very broken phone. Very broken brand new phone. Holy crap, that scared the crap out of me. Alright, so this is a... I'll wait. Don't worry. I'll wait. Oh, there's a Diet Dew in there. I wonder if they'd be mad if I drank one of those. Alrighty, we'll wait on that. Finally. Okay. So that was annoying. So here's what we're working with. This is the transmission out of the 2004 GTO that I bought, that I gutted to do that. So I don't know if you guys watched my other video, but this is cracked right here. Right along here, it's cracked. Because this, well, hang on. Is it in gear? Yeah, this, see how it gets really tight right here? And then loose right there. See how easy that is to turn? And then through here, nothing. So this has a bent main shaft. So, yeah. And another big problem is this. That's in gear. So this is in gear. This was when I was driving, and I cannot stand sloppy shifter linkage. There's really nothing you can do just to tighten it up on this thing other than throw it in the garbage and get a new shifter. So the transmission shifter was not in a good location for me anyway, and I didn't want to get another extension and it be sloppy. Like, because this, when you start doing this stuff, and it's not designed to be that way, it just never works. So what we've done, T56 2.97 GTO trans, T56 Magnum XL. It's a Ford transmission. So if you have, a shifter relocation and you're wanting to switch to a Magnum, and you're relocated, we'll say 5 or more inches back with your relocation shifter, you can run this transmission. So the things you will need, what did I do with that thing? Let's see if I can find it. I set it down, I think I did. Rip. Where did it go? It's a broken bolt. Is this it? Yes. So what you'll need, this is what's called an oilite bushing. So you guys are like, oh my God, you're going to use a brass bushing? First of all, it's not. This is what's called impregnated. It's an impregnated metal. So when this gets hot, it actually secretes oil. So what we're going to do is what I'm going to show you, actually, if I could find one. So I just hammered out the old pilot bearing. This is actually the sleeve. The actual bearing is right here. So Let's go look. I'll show you the difference. So the problem with running this transmission is specifically designed to be used on a Ford. So if you look, this goes on here. Well, it did before I slide hammered it to death and bent it out like crazy. But yeah, it's supposed to go on there in another world that went on there at one point in time. But if you see the difference, let's sit them down here. I'll just hold them in my hand. See how much bigger the hole is in this oil light bushing? So what it is this is machined to fit the crank right here. Boop. And it's even got a little curved edge. But this is designed to fit the Ford input shaft. It's like so. So I'll spray this bad boy with regular oil and let it do its job. But this is an inferior metal, so that's steel. So before that input shaft will get damaged, this will gouge. It will not hurt that. It can't. So it's literally just the heat of this being in my hand right now is making it get oily. My hands and my fingers are oily just from the heat of my hand. So I'll put this in here, and this will be my pilot bearing instead of having a bearing. And I know that might weird some people out, but back in the day, this is what they used. They didn't use pilot bearings. That wasn't a thing. And these bad boys last. Like when you pull your trans out, they don't recommend you replace it. They just want you to spray it with oil. That's it. So you run this. I have the part number if anyone needs it. And put that in. Put your regular T56 bell housing on. You're good to go. I gotta get this out of my hand. It's gross. It is so oily. That is just weird. Yuck. And then I bought this clutch alignment tool because even though it's a Ford design transmission, you don't need a special clutch. The input shaft on the T56 Magnum is still, and I'm guessing Ford maybe even, I don't know that much about Fords, but the clutch just slides right on there. They're not even, the spline counts the same. So you can run this T56 Magnum XL on your build, no problem. Oh, party foul. Main reasons and the main reason you'd want to do that is obviously to move your shifter back without this garbage. Second reason, when your shifter is like this and this goes directly into the trans, the shifts are so much better. That was like trying to shift a transmission with a sausage. It was the worst. And this is, so this brings your shifter, I think it's like 5 or 6 inches back. I don't know. Let's look. So there's the old back of the trans. It's like 10 and a half and some change. Where did I do that from? Right here. As to where this is 15 and a quarter and some change. So just under 5 inches, it moves your shifter back. If you're into drifting, getting it in the right gear is very important. And obviously it's a Magnum. It's better. I mean, it's a no-brainer at this point. Things that I have noticed that are different between these two. Obviously, they're completely different transmission, but they share a lot of things. Like the front plate is very similar, except for the biggest complaint that I had was getting it out of this car the other day. It was a nightmare, absolutely terrible. Because if you see this powder right here, ew, gross. It's fiberglass from it rubbing on the tunnel under there. And it's all over this transmission on this tab. And it was on this tab, but it all kind of fell off because it's leaned this way. But these two were my biggest complaints getting it out. Well, if you look down here, see the finish of this. It's very obviously casted. Boom. Why does it look like a grinder has hit that? And ignore that. That's for me grinding something later. These are pre-ground off. They are not there. So if you're in a swap car and you got to pull your trans out a lot, that not being there and that not being there is very, very helpful. The only complaint that I have, obviously things I have to grind off still, are these two tabs, which protect the reverse. No, I don't know. They protect the switch right here. I'm going to grind these back two off because it hits my tunnel if I have them. So I'll grind those bad boys off. But overall, they're really similar. The front plate's different, obviously, just a little bit. But the big thing is you can't inspect your clutch in this thing unless you shot a camera in here. With this transmission, there's a hole right here. You can inspect the darn thing, which is 10 out of 10, would recommend. So what I'm about to do is get this installed in that. And like I said, I have the part number for that bushing. I actually have two. I have one over there in the freezer. Because obviously when you get things cold, they shrink. And I'm just going to slap this bad boy in here tonight and hope for the best. But it's been a crazy week for me, so I haven't been over here in about 3 days. So hopefully this car is running. I do have to get the transmission mount moved about 3/4 of an inch back. I'll do a video update on that. The transmission mount location on that longer tail housing, as you can see. If you look at this, from, we'll say, right here where the silicone is, back, the first bolt hole, which is not the one we'd use, is about 6 inches on the dot back, and the one up is about 6 1/4. And the trans mount's right here. Well, right here. So we'll go back from this. See, it's only about 5 1/2. And that's where the bolt holes are, which is the center of where your trans mount's going to be. So my transmission mount's going to have to come back about 3/4 of an inch, which is going to be an ordeal in and of itself, but it's not that big a deal. The transmission's obviously longer. The tail shaft is designed differently. So I have to get, 6 inches lopped off that drive shaft, but there's a drive shaft shop in town that can do it. Why am I flinging this around? But hopefully, I'm hoping to have the car back on the road by Sunday if the drive shaft shop can get my drive shaft done in time. But I still haven't even taken measurements yet. So I'm guessing it's going to be about 6 inches lopped off, give or take, and then have it going. But I had an exhaust leak right here. When I started pulling the exhaust off, I found that this was in a bind. So I'm going to whack these bad boys off, put some different ones on, and move it up a little bit. I want this just a wee bit higher so that my exhaust guy can get more of an angle, because this car is bagged. As you can see, it gets pretty low. And we're going to bring the exhaust over. You can kind of see the header points that way. Bring it over here and then down. And then we're going to run stainless steel 3-inch true duals out the back that aren't going to be leaking out of literally every mating surface and giving me horrible anxiety. So, yep. It bothers me because this car does not have a cam in it yet. And my O2 sensor was right here, and it was leaking right there. So when I was sitting at idle, it would stumble. Oof. It was literally making me have a meltdown. I'm like, I know this tune is right for the parameters that we have. But that'll be fixed once the exhaust is done. And hopefully the car's done at that point. But, you know, we're going to hope for the best. So I'm going to get these braces lopped off the side of this transmission and then get it put in.